Stay down. Stay down. Stay down.
Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. I've got an example today of a taser application where it was used repeatedly on the same person, and it raised a really important question in my mind is how many times can a person be tased? Can a person willfully, mentally, resist the shock effects of a taser? I get conflicting information on this. Some sources say that it's absolutely something that involuntarily you cannot control. And other people say, well, it's similar to like a chemical effect. If you're on drugs or you have some other issue, you might be able to resist the effects. I'm not sure which is the reality at this point. I can tell you that the success rate for tasers is about 40%. So more than half of the people that get tased are resisting, but there's a lot of complicated factors and variables in that. And a lot of law enforcement officers have to shoot tasers from an extended distance, or a person has on clothing that doesn't allow the electrodes to land. And so there are these variables that happen. Now, this is an example of a guy, he's in just a red t-shirt walking on the street, and he's going to be tased multiple times. And he has a pain response. He has an audible pain response, and he keeps moving, and he's able to resist. Now let's watch this and then think about that, because I think that's really an important thing to consider.
Done. I'm out. Hold on a second.
And so that's tase number one, and you can see he's still moving. He's verbalizing a lot, and I have to be honest with you, I understand virtually nothing that he says. It seems like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I don't understand what the guy in the red shirt is saying. I can understand what the officers are saying, and I can see the subtitles there. He seems to be mentally agitated, not in his right mind. Maybe he's on drugs. But these officers just following him, he resisted tase number one.
Yeah, we had a tase, and I think it's
Which hands right here, sir?
So tase number two coming up right here. Again, there's no response. I mean, this is a perfect distance for a tase. His back is just a t-shirt. It's a perfect situation. You see him swing around. He caught the officer on the nose there.
Yes, sir.
So reality is really something you got to always keep in mind. You know, you see tasers on people who voluntarily get tased and they fall. But then in the real world situation, the person who might be attacking you on the street is going to be like this guy. It's going to be a person who's not in their right mind, who's not making any sense, who's not speaking properly, who's attacking you for an unknown reason. And you've got to use your taser, and do you have confidence that your taser would stop someone like this? If he had a knife and he was coming at you, are you confident in your taser? That's the choice you have to make when you choose a less lethal option like a taser.
all right?
I'm bleeding. He swung back and got me.
All right, you get a tase?
Well, it didn't take effect.
We got tase number 3 coming up here very soon. The first 2 times, nothing. Here they go again. This time there's a response. But again, he just keeps walking. So there you see it. This guy was able to resist the effects of the taser. And I had to do a little research on this one. And I'm sure that there's many different conflicting opinions. But from what I read, if it works properly, it should lock up your muscles and make you really rigid, and you cannot move anything, and you're going to fall. So if that happens, you cannot control that exactly. But if you are walking and moving and you are in a psychological state that permits you to not react to the taser in the same way, you do have some ability to fight through it. I know that's kind of a non-answer, but that's sort of the reality out there. I read a report from a person who was referring to back in their 20s when they were a meth head and they were on methamphetamines and they got tased by an officer. And I think he was saying Yes, he felt the effects of it, and it had some partial effects, but he was able to, because of the meth and because of the effects on psychological response, he was able to resist it enough that his arms and legs could still fight through it. And I believe that there's something to that. I mean, there's a lot of neurology, neurobiology that we don't understand that can overcome some of these effects. But I'm not an expert in the neural system. I'm more of a biologist of the blood and the bone marrow and that kind of thing. So I can't really go there. But I do know that the mind over matter in this particular case is something that's a possibility. But it is a minor possibility. The most likely cause of failure with your taser is just ineffective use, not landing your electrodes properly, or not giving enough of a pulse and holding the pulse. Many times you see they give a pulse, and I've shown this in other videos, and they then let up the pulse, and they think they can then go arrest the guy, and by the time they walk over to the guy, 2 or 3 seconds later, the guy pops right back up as if nothing happened, and he's ready to fight, and things go bad very quickly. I've got more videos like that that I haven't shared as well. But the bottom line is you have to be very careful when you use a taser. It strikes me as being something that could be too little or too much and very difficult to get exactly right. I think you have to have not only yourself when you tase someone, but you ideally you need another person or two to help you come in. And I again, there I'm talking about law enforcement. If it's you as a civilian, tase them, let the taser just run, and then you get out of there. And so in that case, it can be a lot more effective. The person's will to fight you may change, but it may not. I just think we have to have our eyes open to all possibilities, and the reality is that 40% of the time a taser will work for you, 60% of the time it will not, and that's statistically from law enforcement scenarios. They're a nice thing to have, and I think they're small enough and they're portable enough. I think they have advantage. The ones that shoot the electrodes, I think, is really your best bet because you want that distance. I'm not as big of a fan of the little touch tasers and things. I'm sure you could use those in a fight, just like you could use your flashlight, or you could use a knife, you could use one of those type of stun guns or strikers, like a strike light type of device. Those have their place, but the taser, look and shape more like a firearm and can shoot at a distance is really attractive. A lot of people love them, and police really use them a lot. They go to that most often statistically, even though it has such a fail rate. But I just wanted to share this example with you because you never know what you're going to get with these types of examples. You can watch 10 videos where the people fall like a brick, and you think, well, this is just the best thing in the world. But you really need to see the alternative and what happens. And so I'm going to try to show you things that the manufacturers and the sellers are not showing you. And these are the examples where it does not work. And you just need to keep these kind of things in the back of your mind. It helps you be better prepared, knowing what the worst case scenarios are. I'm not about just showing you best case scenarios and talking pie in the sky, everything is good. I want you to realize things fail. You need to have a plan B. So there's a lot of things to think about in self-defense. And that's where we're at on this channel. And that's where I want people to keep that in mind. I think it makes you safer and a better person in terms of protecting yourself and your family. So that's all I got to say on this one. Everybody just take care. See you in the next one.